I think the biggest barrier for me at the beginning of my whole gardening adventure was coming to grips with the lingo. It's safe to say that other gardeners will become your absolute best resource for finding out anything you need to know. But in the beginning, for me, asking questions just created more problems because I didn't understand the language that they were using. In particular, I didn't understand plant types. Once I understood that plants fell into categories that explained their growing behaviour and how they interacted with the seasons, it was almost immediately obvious to me how I could start beginning to research and plan a garden that I would really like. Understanding the bare minimum basics of plant types will allow you to actually get going much faster, because once you're growing, it all is cemented in your mind. It's just at the start that it's hard. Perennials, plants that recede down to their roots each year to regrow in spring or summer, flower, set seed and repeat for 2 or more years into the future. Perennials are terrific investments. If you choose to purchase established plants instead of growing all of them from seed, you can do so with the knowledge that they'll deliver year after year, and you'll be able to divide and create more plants to spread around your garden as their roots and clumps become more established. Some will last for years and years, and it may also take some a few years to get going, but some may also be shorter lived and start to tire after around 3 years. Bulbs, corms, tubers and rhizomes. These are perennial plants that grow from strange bulbous storage organs of differing types. Some of these are hardy and some of these are tender. Many of this group of perennials are also commonly your exciting late winter, early spring surprises before they melt away underground again. They'll also be multiplying, and each year or two they're worth digging up to gently divide and replant your new stock elsewhere. So just a tip from me, when planting your rhizomes or your corms or your tubers or whatever, definitely do a quick search online to see if you can find a planting guide, because I 100% planted all my peonies upside down the first year, and once I realised I had to dig them up about a week later and turn them all around. Shrubs are perennial plants that are smaller than trees and have woody stems above the ground when dormant. When they're dormant over winter, they can either be evergreen, with leaves all around like box hedging and camellias and rhododendrons, or they can be deciduous, where they lose their leaves to reveal their woody stems, like hydrangeas. Shrubs are really important for us flower gardeners because they help add structure all year round, particularly when our other perennials might be dormant underground. Annuals. Annuals are plants that grow, flower, set seed and die in a single year. They're often prolific self-seeders as well, meaning flowers will regrow in the same position or maybe across the garden the following year. They are celebrated for their abundant, colourful blooms, especially in summer, and instant brightening and cheering of your outside areas. I found them to be really eager, fast-growing, happy people to deal with. And if you water them enough and you deadhead them enough, your chances of having flowers all summer are pretty high. Annuals are also the handy plants that are great for like hanging baskets or filling in around your perennials to give a fuller feeling in the garden. And you'll often spot them at garden centres being called bedding plants. They're your annuals. And then we have hardy annuals. These are the annuals you can sow directly into the ground in the position you want them to grow in, and they tend to be more tolerant of cold and frost. So sometimes these are the plants that you could sow in, say, autumn and maybe really early spring. Alternatively, we have half hardy annuals. These are plants that need some nurturing and don't enjoy being frosted. They might need to be grown in seedling containers first and then transplanted into the garden, definitely well after frost. Biennials. Unlike annuals, biennials complete their life cycle over 2 years. The first year is when they begin their growth and they tend to get all their foliage going. The second year is when they finish and they flower, set seed and then die. I feel like biennials really test new gardeners, well, certainly tested me to the max, because gardening is so much slower than the instant gratification we even get from decorating our house. To wait 2 whole years for something to flower seems a bit crazy. I'm happy to say that there is some work being done with breeders to create some plants that will flower in the first year like an annual. But don't worry, they are a bit like annuals in that they tend to be really great self-seeders. So once you get them going, it does feel like you have them flowering every year in your garden, even though they're in a slightly different position. So foxgloves and hollyhocks, once you get going, they're pretty welcome additions. For me, the result of getting my head around this plant type situation was that now I can move my perennials around the garden to give them better positions. I'm not scared to. I understand that I can do that. I can confidently dig them up and divide them and create more of that plant or give them away or swap them. It means that I also, when I'm planning, that I can leave room to grow annuals between my perennials to bulk out that garden. You know, I'm thinking of them collectively, but how they all work with their cycles. And understanding biennials, but also self-seeders, means that I don't rush and just pluck out every single green, out of place looking seedling. Understanding that they are plants that will be taking their time, they could be self-seeded, or they could just be biennials having their year off. Anyway, good luck. I hope this helped. In general, you will find other gardeners your absolute hands down best resource.